Hi there, folks. Look at this t-shirt I found yesterday. Pretty funny, huh? Okay, so the second grave precept is don't steal. And this is, like some of the grave precepts, matches one of the Ten Commandments that don't steal. So let's look at that one. First off, just to confuse you right from the outset, the Bodhidharma One Mind Precepts version of the precept of do not steal or no stealing goes: self-nature is mysteriously profound, unattainable dharma. Not to raise the mind of something being attainable is called no stealing or robbing. So getting back to the normal version of the precepts, the standard version, this is Nishijima Roshi's commentary on the precept don't steal, not the Bodhidharma One Mind version, but the normal version that just says don't steal. We have our own place in the world, our own position and property. We should not invade another's position. We should not steal. Pretty straightforward. And here's one from the Pali Canon, and it says this. The Pali Canon is one of the earliest. It used to be considered the earliest, but I've heard that it's now not considered necessarily the earliest written iterations of what the Buddha is supposed to have said. And here is this one for not stealing. Bhikshus, which is monks. In his praise of the Tathagata, the worldling might say, Shramana Gautama, that's the Buddha, abandons all thoughts of taking what is not given and abstains from taking what is not given. He accepts only what is given, wishing to receive only what is given. He establishes himself in purity by abstaining from committing theft. I did that. You probably noticed a break. I had to say that 3 times before I said theft every time. Anyway. Now here is the 5th century Chinese Brahmajala Sutras version of this precept. A disciple of the Buddha must not himself steal or encourage others to steal. Steal by expedient means, steal by means of incantation or deviant mantras. There's that one again. He should not create the causes, conditions, methods, or karma of stealing. No valuables or possessions, even those belonging to ghosts and spirits, or thieves and robbers, be they as small as a needle or a blade of grass, may be stolen. As a Buddha's disciple, he ought to have a mind of mercy, compassion, and filial piety, always helping people earn merits and achieve happiness. If instead he steals the possessions of others, he commits a major offense. And here are some American versions culled from this document I keep going back to, called The Evolution of the Precepts, from the 2008 National Conference of the Soto Zen Buddhist Association. I wish they would do things like this again. So here is no stealing according to various American Zen places. Sherry Huber's version. Not to take what is not given, not to steal. The key is generosity. The prohibition is not stealing. The aspiration is to freely give, ask for, and accept what is needed. And the inspiration is there is no scarcity of resources. And John Daido Loori very simply puts it, be giving, do not steal. The Great Vow Zen Monastery's version is, I vow not to steal, but to respect the things of others. Several of them are just variations on no stealing, abstinence from stealing, no stealing, no stealing, I do not steal, I respect others' property. Dainin Katagiri's version is, a follower of the way does not take what is not given. So this is a common one. Dayan Eshin Risetto has this rather long version. I take up the way of taking only what is freely given and giving freely of all that I can. At times when I feel I am entitled to what others want, need, or own, I resolve to hold this hard ball of entitlement, of separation, to feel its texture and to wait until its nature is clear. That's a nice one. And the Appleton Zen Center has act generously. They don't have don't steal. I act with generosity and open-handedness. I receive only things that are freely given to me. I remember that clinging and attachment are the root of suffering. And in Dogen's commentary on the precepts, he says, not stealing. The self and the things of the world are just as they are. The gate of emancipation is open. So his gets a little mystical. And to use that nasty word, mystical, again. And I'd like to read you some of what Koben Chino says in Embracing Mind, the Zen Talks of Koben Chino Otagawa Roshi. And I'm going to read kind of a lot of this one, but I think it's good, so here we go. It is obvious when you take something that does not belong to you or is not given to you, you get in trouble. This is the limited meaning of no stealing. To understand the broader meaning of this precept, think about your existence before you existed and after you finish existing. So think about that. In between, we have this issue of no stealing. Subject opens up in a very big way the question of whether our practice and behavior is encouraging life as one identity. In other words, do we possess? In ancient times, all Buddhists, monks and nuns and lay people gave up possessions to experience a deeper understanding of life. There are many ways to exist. Some people are relatively wealthy, some have a difficult time surrounding themselves with things, and some have no things to take care of. Some want to be satisfied with pleasure as much as they can find for as long as it lasts. To have a human body on this earth is a complete contradiction. We cannot escape from it, and it is a hard phenomenon to see through. It has been said that truth is so profound it is hard to observe it thoroughly. In every moment, each thing's existence is interdependent beyond our understanding. Sense organs cannot reach to the depths of the truth, and yet every day we discover we are still here. Our study is to look into the real meaning, the true meaning of no stealing. The ordinary meaning of stealing is to take something from others, make others' thing your own. Together with this meaning, we can observe what the whole thing is about. Something happened, and we appeared on this earth as a very small drop of life, which grew up as matter. A little circle of energy appeared in your mother's circle of energy, and when the time came, it started to separate. It looks like two, but as you know, mother and child cannot be separated. Even if the mother passes away, that mother is the mother of this child, always. Yet we think this human being is an individual existence. Because this human shape is dynamic and moves among many things, we do not question that it has a separate existence. It is necessary to find which way you are going to move on this earth, what kind of life you want to create. Eventually, we begin to understand that we are truly an individual existence. This individual existence is a universal thing in itself. A life of activity becomes a creative art form for you. So study becomes important, research becomes important, also communication. All are necessary. Yet this individual existence is inseparable from this universe. Please remember this no stealing precept. It is the ultimate recognition that you have nothing to lose. Even if your whole body is stolen by somebody, your whole mind by somebody, you have not lost anything. One example is devotion, which is to give yourself to a person or situation. The devotional relationship of teacher and disciple is not one-sided. To have two bodies is, at this point, a remarkable sign of freedom. Mind has utterly become one, and yet you liberate each other. This is the deep relationship of real friends, mother and child, father and child, wife and husbands, friends. Having something stolen is a little comical. Giving something is another side of it. We feel very good when we give something to others. The more pure it is, the more tasteless it is. The more content it has, emotions, sensations between yourself and others, the heavier the experience you go through when you give something, and the more you don't forget what you have given. You may still not forget it after 10 years, if it's a very big present, but if you forget it the next day, that's very nice. The best way to give a present to others is to give the work you do. You can forget it immediately because attachment doesn't follow it. So that, I think, is wonderful, and I hardly have anything more to say about it other than what Koban already said. But I think this idea of not stealing is, of course, in its raw form. You don't steal stuff. You don't go and grab a Snickers bar from the store and put it in your pocket and run away. That's no stealing. But in another sense, there is no stealing. And I think this is what the precept is also trying to get at, that it is impossible to steal from anyone because everyone is so interconnected that things just move from one spot to another. They don't move from possession of one person to possession of another person. That's just an illusion that we hold. that's why we try to give whatever we can. Now, of course, you have to have some things that are your own. Even in the temples where people give everything away, the monks have their own bowls, they have their own robes, they have their own sleeping things, pillows and whatnot. So we don't always give everything, even when we give everything. But giving away the idea that something can be stolen or that you can steal anything is the deeper meaning of the precept of no stealing. And that is the harder meaning to get to, I think, for most of us. Most of us get very hung up on the idea of mine and yours and whoever's. Lately, I've been giving a lot of things away. I gave away my entire Godzilla and Ultraman collection to my friend Bob, and I sold a bunch of instruments and CDs and records and things at kind of a loss because I just kind of wanted things to be away from me, and I tried to sell them to places that I knew would do well with the things I have, because I don't just have junky records and junky basses. Well, I don't have them at all anymore, but the stuff I had was sellable to these places, and I want the shops to do well. So, and I've already seen them selling my things online, so that's been interesting. But anyway, it felt great. It felt great to give things away because they were never mine to begin with, and they were always the possession of the universe. Not to sound like a guy who would wear a T-shirt like this too much, but we do that kind of thing. So give up the idea that anything can be stolen is maybe my summation of all of what I just read to you. So if you like that and you want to help me out so I don't have to steal things, there's a transition. You can send a donation to the address you are seeing on your screen below, or if you're watching on YouTube, there are direct links to my Patreon and PayPal accounts, and that is the main way I make my living, and I really appreciate your donations. If you're having financial trouble, don't donate. Please don't donate, because I don't want donations from people who are having a hard time giving donations, but that's the way I make my living, so I really appreciate those who do. See you next time. Have a good time all the time. Bye.